Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. So in today's video we will be discussing the Gabby Petito's case. Gabby Petito was 22 years old. She was the oldest of 6 siblings. She met her boyfriend, 23-year-old Brian Laundrie, in high school. They started dating right after graduation before moving to Florida to live with Brian and his family. Gabby was described to be very fun, outgoing, loving, carefree, and free-spirited. Brian announced on social media that the two were engaged in July 2020. They decided that they wanted to take a road trip across the country out west. They wanted to visit places like Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, where it's very beautiful, very scenic. They decided to save up money. Gabby quit her job. So they purchased a 2012 Ford Transit Connect that they modified to be more suitable for the road, or more suitable for a living, because they will be living in the van for about a few months or so. They started a couple's YouTube channel called Nomadic Static. Gabby also posted on social media to document her journey. She posted on Instagram, TikTok, and she also started a blog. She was in the process of doing the blog, so on the blog, there isn't a lot of information. Around June 17th, Gabby and Brian went to Long Island, to Gabby's hometown, for her brother's graduation. On July 2nd, they decided to hit the road and start off on their journey to van life. On July 4th, Gabby posted a pic at the Monument Rock National Park in Kansas. On July 8th, she posted a pic at the Sand Dune in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is just freaking gorgeous. On July 16th, Gabby posted a pic at the Zion National Park in Utah. On July 21st, she posted a pic at the Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah. On July 26th, she posted at the Mystic Hot Springs in Monroe, Utah. It seems as if they stayed in Utah for a little while. And on August 12th, Gabby posted from the Arches National Park in Grant County, Utah. And on that same day, on August 12th, police actually received a phone call from a witness who reported a domestic dispute between Gabby and Brian. Gabby and Brian was outside of a holistic health food store where they got into an altercation. The witness reported that they witnessed an altercation where the female was hitting the male. Basically, she was hitting him. He was trying to defend himself, so he would kind of push her away from him. He got in the van and locked the doors, and she ended up jumping into the driver's side window of the van, and then they both drove off. While the police was heading to the call, they actually encountered the van going 45 miles an hour in a 15 miles per hour radius. The police then signaled for them to pull over. Brian was driving just for a little bit longer before he decided to pull over. Then the van swerved. So the police basically put on the blinker, the sirens, and really signal for them to pull over. When they pulled over, the police approaches the vehicle. Gabby was in the passenger side. Brian was in the driver's side. Gabby was actually crying. They both were apologizing. Police then asked Gabby to step out of the car so he can speak to her away from Brian. Gabby said that her and Brian has been fighting. They basically had a long day, and she said that her and Brian were fighting all day. Obviously, if you're in a little van with anybody for days and months, tension is basically going to start building up. She explained that she has OCD and she also has anxiety, and she said she cleaned the van basically, and then Brian tried to get back in the van with dirt on his feet, and that kind of set her off. And she also said that she did apologize to him for being really mean, because she does have OCD. Even though Gabby's dad then do an interview with Dr. Phil, who said that she wasn't diagnosed with OCD. She was just using popular, basically subculture term. After that, the police just told her to sit in the back of the car. He said, you're not in any trouble. You could just sit in the back of the car, cool down where there's AC, and you know, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. So he walked over and decided to talk to Brian. He asked Brian what happened. Brian basically mimicked the entire situation that happened. Basically just said, you know, she was hitting me, I tried to defend myself. Basically the same thing that Gabby said. The police realized that there were scratches on Brian's face, so they decided to ask him what happened, where did the scratches came from. And basically he said that Gabby had her phone in her hand and she tried to take the keys from him. She was just fighting him for the keys basically, and that's where the scratches came from. Oh, I also forgot to mention, so Gabby actually told police that another reason why they were arguing is because she's actually trying to start a blog. He felt like she couldn't do it, and that also made her very frustrated, which rightfully so. I can see how, because I mean, you want to start something new, you want to try something new, and your fiance that's supposed to be supportive of you is trying to tell you that you can't do it. Like, obviously that would make anybody frustrated. The police officers asked Brian if he wanted to press charges, and he said no, he didn't want to press any charges. Basically, they're in love and whatever, so they didn't want to press any charges. The police then said, you guys need to separate for the night. He actually got a room for Brian, so Brian could stay at the hotel room, and Gabby can keep the van for the night. Gabby wanted to keep the van because she felt that if Brian had the van, then Brian would have left her. The police actually tried to get a room for Gabby as well, but since in this case Gabby was deemed the aggressor and Brian was the victim, so they weren't able to get her a room. Now, a few days later, the actual audio from the call came, and it seems as if the witness actually said that he saw Brian slapping Gabby. I am so confused about that. Like, I'm not sure how anybody can get that confused. I'm not sure if whenever the dispatcher, whenever they send out a unit to a location, if they don't say what exactly happened, because obviously the police officer didn't know what happened when they went out to Brian. They didn't know that he was the one that was hitting Gabby. So now they were able to twist the story once police approached. I'm not even sure what happened there, but that's just what happened. So the police officer did ask Brian if they were on any medications. They said no. Gabby's mother actually did say that she's not aware of her being on any medication, because the police did also said that Gabby just seems very frantic, erratic, and anxious because she was just rubbing her knee the whole time. But obviously anybody who's coming to any encounter with the police, they're going to be a little bit anxious, especially if you're in literally the other side of the country. The police also asked Brian, why did they swerve the vehicle before they actually stopped. Based on the body cam, it seems as if the police officer thought that it was a case of drinking and driving because of the swerve. But Brian said that Gabby grabbed the wheel while he was driving, basically saying, look, you got us pulled over, so he grabbed the wheel. So when they went ahead and asked Gabby about that, she said she did not grab the wheel. She said that she was basically hitting him because she's like, look what you're doing, you got me pulled over. But obviously, you know, if you're hitting somebody, then that can cause them to swerve as well. The police officers, they were actually very sympathetic with Brian, because one of them were like, you know, I know what you're going through. I've actually dealt with my partner having OCD and anxiety. So they were actually being very sympathetic with him when it could have been the other way around. On August 17th, Brian went back to Florida to help his father clean out a storage unit, which is very strange because, I mean, you're literally gonna leave a road trip that you planned on being on to go clean out a storage unit. I'm not 100% sure if he had went home with no intentions of coming back, and then he later on decided to go back for whatever reason. So while Brian was in Florida, Gabby was staying at a hotel. On August 21st, Gabby's father spoke to her. Now that would be the last time that he spoke with her. He said that the conversation was completely normal. He didn't notice anything out of the sort. Everything seems to be going good. And then he actually ordered her DoorDash and everything seemed completely normal. On August 23rd, Brian returned back to Utah from Florida. On August 25th, Gabby spoke to her mother, and this was the last time she actually physically spoke with her, and she actually told her mother that they were heading to the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Okay, so a few days went by where Gabby's mom realized that she didn't hear from Gabby, and that was very out of the ordinary for her, because she would at least communicate with her family a few times a week, or if not, if she didn't, she would let them know if she was going to have service, or if she was going to be in an area there where she didn't have service, and she would let them know for how long, and as soon as she had service, then she would contact her family. Gabby's mother, Nicole, tried reaching out to Brian to see if she would be able to get a hold of him. She also tried reaching out to Brian's family to see if Brian's family heard from Brian, but nobody got back to her. She basically couldn't get any information. So then on September 11th, she decided to file a missing person report to report that Gabby has been missing. Police actually tried reaching out to Brian, but they weren't able to get in touch with Brian nor his family. So a few days later, they let Nicole know that Gabby's vehicle was found. And to her surprise, her vehicle was actually found in Florida at Brian and his family's house. Obviously, she was shocked because she's like, okay, why is the vehicle in Florida? They're supposed to be on the West Coast. What's going on, and is Gabby there? So basically, the police told her that Gabby is not there. The family did retain a lawyer. Nobody would speak to the police. The lawyer basically released a statement wishing them luck on their search, which is crazy because, mind you, Gabby has been living with the family for over a year. So it's like, wouldn't you want your son's fiance to be found? Like, what am I missing? What is everybody's missing here? Like, are you telling me that this young lady has been living with you guys for over a year, and then you're literally acting as if she's a stranger? Like, good luck with everything. Like, that is just so crazy to me. So a few days later, Brian's attorney released a statement saying that their family wants to remain in the background, which is crazy again, because as I said, Gabby literally lived with you guys for over a year, and that's her fiance. And you're saying that you want to stay in the background. So you want to stay in the background and have them go look for your fiance. Like, you should actually want to help find your fiance. So police came to the conclusion that Brian has been home since September 1st. So mind you, September 1st. So Gabby has been missing. The last time Gabby spoke to her parents was the ending of August. Not physically, but there were messages that came in. So on August 27th, Nicole received a message from Gabby saying no service in Yosemite, which is obviously weird. She thought that was a little bit weird because Gabby didn't tell her that she was going to Yosemite, which is in California, I believe. Gabby didn't tell her that she was going there. Gabby told her that she would be heading to Wyoming. So she thought that was very strange. So they had also released that there was another text message sent, but no one had said what it was until now. So now the police report actually said that there was another text message from Gabby's phone. This was the last one, and I do believe they received that on the 30th. Basically says, can you help Stan? I've been getting his voicemail and his calls, or something like that. And that's very telling. Like, first of all, her mom says that Stan is her grandfather, and she would never ever refers to her grandfather as Stan. And based on the description, based on how often she communicates with her family, like it just seems like she would never reject a phone call, and especially from her grandfather. Like, she would just never reject that phone call. So on September 19th, the police reported that they found a body in Grand Teton National Park that fits the descriptions of Gabby Petito. On September 20th, the FBI searched Brian's home. They took out a few things. Obviously, it hasn't been disclosed to the public what they found because this is clearly still under investigation. So they're not going to say as much as they know. They're not going to like release all the information. On August 21st, the Teton County coroner confirms that the remains found in the park is Gabby Petito. The manner of death is a homicide, but the cause of death is still unknown. As of now, Brian is still on the run. The family said that Brian went hiking last Tuesday, and then last Wednesday they realized that he didn't come home. So they went to the trail that he would typically go hiking, and they got his car. So you're saying that your son went missing, and you know that he's missing, and then on Wednesday you decided to go look for him, and you find his car, but you didn't find him, and you didn't call police right away? Like, how does that make sense? So on Friday, they decided to report to police that he's missing. Like, are you kidding me? I don't even think that Brian is where they're looking for him. Apparently, that trail is as big as Manhattan. Like, it's huge. It'll take months for them to even be able to scour the entire trail, so he could literally be there hiding for months before they're even able to find him. I really just feel like that's a way for them to just throw off police for now. How is this not obstruction of justice? Like, I just don't even understand. And also, what I'm also confused about is Brian right now is a person of interest. As of the 23rd, Brian is still a person of interest. At this point, there's a whole body. How is he still a person of interest? He literally got a lawyer right away. He refused to speak to police, and now he's on the run. You don't do those things if you're not guilty. At this point, he's a suspect. He's no longer a person of interest. He's a suspect at this point, if you ask me. And if you don't know, the difference between a person of interest and a suspect is that a person of interest, it doesn't mean that you even did anything. Anybody could be a person of interest. It just simply means that you know more than you're saying. So that's all Brian is. It doesn't mean that he's a suspect. It doesn't mean that he did anything. So obviously, if you're a suspect, then there's a chance that you did commit this crime, or you did whatever they think that you did. But a person of interest, it doesn't mean you did anything. It doesn't mean they even think you did anything. It just simply means that you know more than you're saying. And I think Brian is a lot more than a person of interest at this point. So Gabby's mom, Nicole, did tell police that Brian's family has always been welcoming and supportive. So it's not even like you can say, oh, maybe there's a situation where, you know, the family doesn't like her, but it doesn't even matter if the family doesn't like her. If your son, well, let me not say this because nothing has been confirmed, and you know how it goes in America, not because you did it, don't mean that you're guilty, but if your son did something to hurt this girl, I just don't understand why you wouldn't want your son to come clean, or why wouldn't you want your son to just help authorities? She lived with you guys for over a year. Why would you not want to help? Like, I just don't even understand. Yeah, so this situation is obviously just very sad. I feel like these are like the worst cases ever. Like, these have to be the worst type of case, because whenever has to do with somebody who is supposed to be protecting you, and they're the one that seems to hurt you, it's just very, very sad. It's just a really sad situation. But yeah, that is all I have for now. This story is still developing every day. Something new comes out. So if something big comes out before this video is uploaded, I'll just put all that information down below. But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.